Do you guys have a category in your store that you have just dominated in your market? For me, one of my best-selling categories is plus size tops. I know it's not something you think would be a humongous seller, but I do really well in it. I highly recommend that no matter where you're at in your reselling business and no matter where you are located, that you figure out what you can consistently have access to and figure out how to dominate that market. Now, of course, we all want to find the high ASP items, the high sell-through rate items, but what are the bread and butter categories that perform very well for you? You would be shocked at how many items you are just walking by every single day at the thrift store, at the bins, at garage sales that you don't realize have significant value to them and that can flip quickly and for a lot of money. You guys have picked up on that I have been selling a lot of plus size tops and asked for a deep dive. So we're going to do a quick mini deep dive session today, and I'm going to talk about 6 brands that perform really well for me in the plus size category that you definitely want to be on the lookout for. And before we dive into those brands, those factors, plus some tips on listing those plus size tops, I want to let you guys in on a sale that is running right now, starting right this second in Resellers Edge. If you guys have not heard yet, myself, Nikki, and then Sean and Bethany over at Trash Pandas Thrift created an all-inclusive reseller mentorship group where we do 3 times weekly live calls, have a Facebook community, and have a course with tons of educational videos. And it's not very often that we run a sale. So right now we are running a 48-hour extended Black Friday sale from Friday, November 29th at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time all the way to Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Within that window of time, if you click on the link in the description, you can get 50% off your first month at Resellers Edge. All you gotta do is click the link in the description box below and use the coupon code Black Friday. Again, that coupon code is only going to be available to use for those 48 hours. Go check us out and start growing your business today. Now back into this deep dive. So before we dive into the actual brands, I thought I would share 4 listing tips, things you might want to be thinking about when it comes to plus size clothing. Like I said, this market has really exploded for me, and I really feel like I've got my core customer figured out. I've tested things out in my listings. I've seen what makes a plus size listing sell and what makes a plus size listing sit in multiple different brands, but also in general. And I'm sharing some of those tips with you today. So number 1 is whenever you're picking up a plus size item, you always want to make sure that it is not a plain item. You want to make sure that it has other factors going for it. And more often than not, multiple factors. So maybe it has a great material, plus it has a special print, or maybe it is longer length and it's also a full button up, but nothing plain. The plain stuff does not sell. And speaking of button up, that is my second tip for you. That is probably the factor that I have noticed that increases the most value in a plus size top is the fact that it is button up. So I will heavily weigh that when I am making a purchasing decision at the thrift store, if it is button up or not. Button up is definitely a factor in plus size top that increases value and also sell-through rate. And if you start doing comps on certain brands, you will notice that the sell-through rate generally goes up if you include button up in your search. The reason being, and this leads into tip number 3, is that you want to focus on your core customer when you are listing the item. Your customer wants to focus on ease and comfort. Something like a button up makes it easy for them to put on quickly, and I think that's why button up is such a great factor in plus sizes. And so when you're listing an item, because your plus size buyer likes ease of use and comfort, you could include things like stretch, loose, oversized, maybe even a particular material if you know that it's one that they're looking for. The plus size buyer is not one that you are going to want to market a lot of aesthetic keywords to. You're going to want to focus on versatility and use of the actual item. And tip number 4, and then we'll dive into some of my favorite brands to sell in plus sizes, and that is that size does matter even within the plus size category. I've noticed that size 1X performs the worst out of all of my plus size tops, and size 2X and 3X, with 3X being the best, are my best performing sizes. In some cases, depending on brand, 4X can also be a great size, but 2X and 3X is really where I try to stick to. So just to recap so far, those tips were nothing plain, button up is great, Focus on your core customer and focus on comfort, ease of use, and versatility of the item. And then size 2X and 3X are really great sizes. Now diving into some of my favorite brands to sell, and they're only my favorite brands to sell because I have been able to sell them so quickly and typically for either faster or more money than the other brands that I pick up. There's a lot of brands that are not on today's list that are more bread and butter for me that I consistently pick up. And there's also brands that I didn't include on the list today that have high sell-through rates and are more of a bolo, but these are the ones that I really like that I've gathered for you here today. If I found them, I would be excited and want to pick them up. Plus, they also typically have really great sold comps. So if you include things like factors and the size within these brands, it's very likely that you'll come across a 100% sell-through rate item. Okay, so the first one, and this one, it's a close like tie between first and second place. So I'll give you both of them right now. That is Ralph Lauren and Eileen Fisher. These brands are not specifically made for plus sizes. They also have smaller sizes. Everything on this video today are brands that also carry other sizes, but specifically in their plus sizes is where you're going to see a super high sell-through rate and higher ASP. Ralph Lauren and Eileen Fisher, they're like tied for first place for me. They are the ones that I get the most excited about, and that is because they typically sell super lightning fast, plus they tend to sell for more money. I know I gave you guys the tip of not picking up anything plain, but these brands have so much value that I would probably even consider picking them up in plain pieces. I'll pop up some comps here of some solds that I've had in Ralph Lauren and the differences in a more plain item versus one like this where it has a print and goes for significantly more money. This brand as well as Eileen Fisher are definitely ones where you can really drive up the price if they fit into a certain aesthetic. If they got a couple of things going for it, you can really drive up the value. But it is not often that I sell either one of these brands in plus sizes for less than $25. For Ralph Lauren, the range would be $25 all the way up to $50, sometimes $60. I can drive the price up on a plus size top. And I should have mentioned we're talking about tops today because that is the category I sell the most plus size stuff in. Really, every other category in plus sizes does not perform well for me. It is definitely just the top. But in Ralph Lauren, I can significantly drive the price up if it's got a couple of extra things going for it. Certain kind of prints are definitely one you want to look for in Ralph Lauren. Anything with any kind of print, really. Materials also great if you find something linen, but again, I would pick up something plain and just a cotton. And then button up significantly increases the value as well. And then similarly in Eileen Fisher, this is another one, again, I would consider getting in a more plain type of item. More factors to this item are significantly going to drive up the value. It's not like $1 or $2. It's like you're adding $10, sometimes $20 to a piece just because it might have a great material or a print. And that's not true of all of these plus size brands that I'm going to share with you today. Eileen Fisher is definitely one that heavily focuses on comfort. Their stuff tends to be oversized. They use great materials and oftentimes the materials are sustainable. So make sure to lean into that customer when you are doing your listing. Eileen Fisher is also known for their more minimalist pieces. They're not typically known for prints. For this brand, if you have a great material like organic cotton, organic linen, hemp, something like that, that's what's going to significantly drive up the value for this brand. And their more minimalist pieces and their more oversized stuff is what will drive up the value on one of these plus size tops. So in contrast to Ralph Lauren, where prints do really well, Eileen Fisher not so much, but they have other factors that are going to drive that price up. So both of those, Ralph Lauren and Eileen Fisher, are definitely two of my favorites. I love selling those. I get very excited whenever I find them in plus sizes. All right, the next two are similar to each other as well, so I guess we're coupling things together a little bit. Ooh, I just realized I said 6. I actually meant 5. I've got 5 brands to show you guys today. So these next two are within the same realm. They're more mid-tier for me, but they do sell super quickly. They both have a similar aesthetic. I will pop a couple of comps up here on the screen. It is Jane and Delancey and then Rose and Olive. Whenever I find either one of these brands, I get I get excited because I know that they're going to be quick flips. They typically only sell for me for about $25, but they are consistent $25. And that's why I get really excited when I find them, because I know they're going to be like super quick flips. I'm getting my money back and I'm making the extra dollars, and it's consistently a $25 sale. $25 sales are nothing to sneeze at. Plus, these two you can come across very, very frequently depending on where you live. They're very abundant where I live, and I love things that I can consistently come across because that means I can consistently rely on the sales. I like to call those padding sales, where they pad your higher sell-through rate and your higher ASP sales. So these two are like semi-business casual, kind of churchy inspired, but they tend to have a lot of prints, a lot of multicolors, and that's going to increase the value for you as well in both of these brands. Like I said, it's usually $25. Sometimes, occasionally, I can drive the price up to $30, but I usually stick at $25 to make sure that they flip quickly. And then the very last brand, I know I said 6, I don't know why I said that, I meant 5, but the last brand, I do not have this coupled with something else because it's kind of like its own brand, but it is Jess and Jane. This is a very specific style. I'll pop some pictures up here on the screen as well as the tag. It's a very specific kind of like artsy, more mature brand. Artsy, more mature stuff does really well in plus size pieces, but specifically this brand and this style performs really well. You know what? I'll go ahead and give you guys another bolo that's actually very similar to this that also performs well in plus sizes, and that is parsley and sage. It's very similar to Jess and Jane, so we can couple those together and I can give you guys 6 today. What would increase the value, like drive the price up in this brand in plus size pieces, would be something longer length, or maybe within that artsy realm having a very specific print to it. But tunic length definitely is going to increase value, and then also sleeve length. All right, you guys, that is it for today's, I'm going to call it a mini deep dive. If you guys like this deep dive and digging into what is selling right now, you like keeping up with the trends, you like knowing about bolos and high sell-through rate items, but you also like knowing about stuff like this, brands that you can frequently come across, or a category that you can frequently come across and master. If you like this content, we do tons of this on Resellers Edge. With your membership, as soon as you sign up, you get access to every single replay video we've ever done on any call. We have tons of deep dives just like this one, except much, much longer and more in depth. I will pop a couple of my favorite deep dives, live call topics, and course videos up here on the screen. Those would be available to you as soon as you sign up. And don't forget, we are running a Black Friday sale for you guys for the next 48 hours. And then that is it. So 50% off, crazy insane deal. Go get your first month of Resellers Edge for 50% off. And I can't wait to see you guys in there. Let me know if you guys would like to see another plus size video, or let me know down below what categories you guys are coming across often that you would like to learn how to master. Because within every single brand, whether it is just a mall brand or whether it is a brand that you think is oversaturated, there are pockets of little styles in it, little factors, different sizes, different materials, and things to look for that are bolos and sell quickly in every single brand. You just got to figure out what they are. All right, guys, that's it for today. I hope you are having happy holidays and enjoying time with your family. I will see you in the next one. Bye.